All right, buckle up, everybody, because today we're going deep on something pretty wild. We're talking Donald Trump.
Yeah.
But through a lens I bet you'd never expect. Get this. We're looking at an academic paper that compares his whole life and career to, wait for it, Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, that's right, Grand Theft Auto. The paper's actually called Donald Trump, the ultimate boss of Grand Theft America. Pretty catchy title, right?
I gotta admit, I chuckled when I first saw it.
I think a lot of people did.
Okay.
But you know what? Even though it sounds a little out there, this comparison can actually give us some really interesting insights into Trump's personality and how he approaches power.
So just to be clear right up front, this isn't about getting into politics or taking sides. We're here to use this pretty unexpected comparison to see what we can learn. Because whether you love him or hate him, Trump knows how to play the game. And honestly, understanding his tactics can be valuable for anyone.
Exactly. What this paper's really getting at is that Trump, much like those main characters you see in the GTA games, sees the world kind of like one big game to be won. You know, a game where the rules, well, let's just say they're flexible. And he's always looking for that ultimate success.
So by looking at his actions through that GTA lens, we can understand his motivations and strategies better, even if we don't agree with them.
Precisely.
Okay, you've got my attention. How does this GTA comparison actually work? Like, how do they connect the dots?
Well, the first thing they point out is how similar their origin stories are. You've got Trump, and you've got a lot of these big, iconic GTA characters. They all start out as outsiders, like the underdog who claws their way to the top through hustling and risk-taking, and let's be real, a knack for grabbing everyone's attention.
So it's kind of like that classic rags to riches story, but with the GTA spin on it.
You nailed it. And it goes deeper than just the story. The paper makes some really strong connections between how you actually build an empire in GTA, you know, all that stuff about getting money and property and influence, and Trump's real-life path in the business world.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, both Trump and those GTA characters are obsessed with owning those big landmarks. Skyscrapers, casinos, golf courses. It's like they want everyone to see how successful and powerful they are.
Exactly. And that gets to the heart of what this paper is saying. In GTA, it's not just about the money when you're building your empire. It's about status, control, dominance. It's about being the top dog, the ultimate boss running the whole show. And the paper argues that Trump sees things the same way.
So you're saying that for both Trump and those GTA guys, owning these fancy properties is less about the buildings themselves and more about what they represent. Power, influence, being a winner.
Exactly. And the paper goes on to say that this need to be on top. It goes way beyond just stuff. Both Trump and those GTA characters, they crave the spotlight. They love stirring up controversy. And they'll push the limit, sometimes even break the rules to get what they want.
The paper even makes this really interesting comparison between Trump using Twitter and a GTA player racking up those wanted stars when they're running from the cops.
Yeah. I remember that part.
They're both being provocative on purpose, pushing boundaries, and trying to get as much attention as they can, even if it creates chaos.
It's a brilliant analogy. And what's really fascinating is that the paper suggests that for Trump, this wasn't just about being impulsive or craving attention for attention's sake. It was all part of a plan, a way to shake things up and control the narrative.
Wait, you mean all that crazy behavior was actually strategic? Like he was using chaos as a tool?
That's exactly what the paper argues. Think about it. In the world of GTA, creating chaos is often a way to open up opportunities. It throws your opponents off balance, creates distractions, and lets you take control while everyone's scrambling to figure out what's going on.
Now that you mention it, there are tons of examples of that in Trump's career. All those controversial things he said, those Twitter wars, those things he did that seemed so impulsive. Maybe they were all calculated moves, part of a bigger strategy to dominate the conversation and keep everyone guessing what he'd do next.
You're getting it. And the paper says that this approach, as controversial as it was, it often worked. It kept Trump in the headlines, got his supporters fired up, and put his opponents on the defensive.
It's like he was playing by a whole different set of rules, a set of rules that came straight out of GTA.
I like the way you put that. And the paper's point is that this approach, even though a lot of people found it unsettling, it tells us a lot about how Trump sees power and how he thinks he fits into the system. He's not afraid to break the mold, to challenge the norms, and to use every tool he can get his hands on to reach his goals.
So he's treating the real world like his own giant GTA game, where anything goes and the only thing that matters is winning.
Well, the paper doesn't go quite that far, but it does suggest that Trump's actions often look a lot like a GTA character's, someone who sees the world as a game to be mastered, a system to be manipulated, And by understanding that perspective, we can start to make sense of his unpredictable behavior and the impact it had on the world of politics.
This is already giving me so much to think about. But I got to ask, does comparing him to GTA really hold up when we're talking about how complicated politics is in the real world?
That's a great question, and it's something we'll definitely explore more as we dig deeper into this paper. But it's important to remember that this whole analogy, it's not meant to be taken literally. It's a tool, a way to look at Trump's actions and motivations from a fresh angle, one that might give us some really valuable insights.
You've definitely piqued my interest.
Yeah.
Let's dive in. I want to hear more about how this GTA lens helps us understand the specifics of Trump's career and how he approached power.
Okay, great. Let's start by looking at how the paper compares the way Trump built his business empire to the way a really experienced GTA player approaches the game. You know someone who knows all the strategies and tricks?
Sounds fascinating.
It really is. One of the most interesting points the paper makes is that Trump's business dealings, well, they often look a lot like the strategic moves of a seasoned GTA player, someone who knows how to use the rules of the game to their advantage.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me more about that.
Yeah.
How does building a business in the real world connect to what happens in GTA?
Well, think about how players in GTA build their empires. They often start small, maybe with some hustles, taking risks, sometimes even bending the rules a little, just to get a foothold. Then they take those earnings and reinvest them, expanding their operations, buying up assets, making alliances.
It's like that classic entrepreneurial spirit we hear about,
Yeah,
but with a, well, let's just say a more flexible approach to morality.
exactly. And the paper argues that Trump's early days in real estate follow a similar pattern. He was known for being aggressive in his deals, for pushing boundaries, and for using his connections and his reputation to get loans and permits.
You know, it's funny, now that you mention it, the paper actually compares Trump getting loans and navigating the world of real estate financing to a GTA player figuring out all those in-game cheats and glitches to get ahead.
That is a great point. It's not about breaking the rules outright. It's more about understanding where the loopholes are in the system and using them to your advantage. And the paper argues that Trump, just like a skilled GTA player, was a master at this.
So it's like he was playing the real estate game on the hardest setting, but he had all the cheat codes figured out.
Kind of, yeah. And this ability to work the system, to find those cracks and exploit them. The paper says that's a key trait of both successful GTA players and, arguably, Donald Trump.
It's interesting to think that this comparison might not just apply to Trump's business deals, but also to his political career. Do you think there's a connection there too?
Absolutely. The paper draws a direct line between the way a GTA player tackles missions and challenges in the game and how Trump navigated the political landscape.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more about those parallels.
All right, well, picture a typical GTA mission. You have a goal, but there are usually a bunch of different ways to get there. You might decide to barge in guns blazing, or you might sneak around, be more stealthy. You might team up with others, betray your partners, or even manipulate the authorities to get what you want.
It's all about strategy, being able to adapt, and sometimes, yeah, let's be real, being willing to play dirty.
And the paper argues that those same qualities marked Trump's rise in politics. He was amazing at manipulating the media, at creating a story that resonated with his base, and at exploiting his opponent's weaknesses.
Yeah, it's like he was constantly one step ahead, always predicting what his opponents would do next, and then outmaneuvering them, so he stayed in control.
You got it. And the paper suggests that this strategic thinking, this ability to read the situation and adjust on the fly, it's something he honed over years in the cutthroat world of business, a world that in many ways looks a lot like the high-stakes competitive environment you see in GTA.
Okay, this is starting to make a lot of sense. But there's one thing I'm still wondering about. If Trump is such a brilliant strategist, such a master manipulator, how did he end up losing the presidency?
That is a great question, and it's something the paper wrestles with, too. The simple answer, of course, is that the real world, it's a whole lot more complicated than any video game.
Right, there's so many factors at play, so many things you can't predict. That can mess up even the best plans.
Exactly. And while Trump was great at manipulating the media, at rallying his supporters, at creating a spectacle, ultimately he couldn't control the narrative when he was up against a global pandemic, a deeply divided country, and a political system that's specifically designed to keep any one person from having too much power.
So it's like he was playing GTA on the highest difficulty level, but then the game suddenly changed the rules on him.
That's a good way to put it. And it's a reminder that even the most skilled players, Even the ones who seem like they've totally mastered the game can still be brought down by things outside their control.
You know, this whole GTA comparison, as strange as it sounds, has really changed the way I think about Trump's personality and his actions. But I'm curious, does this just apply to him? Or could this GTA mentality be something we see in other powerful people too?
You know, that's a really thought-provoking question, and the paper actually touches on that a bit, suggesting that this whole idea of seeing the world as a game to be won, where you bend or break the rules to come out on top, it's not exclusive to Trump.
So you're saying there are other players out there, in politics, business, maybe even other parts of life, who think the same way.
The paper argues that this is becoming more and more common, especially in a world where it's getting harder to tell the difference between reality and entertainment, and where social media has turned everyone into a performer, always competing for attention and influence.
Whoa. It's like we're all living in one giant GTA game now, where everyone's trying to level up, get more followers, and build their own empires. And maybe, just maybe, understanding the tactics and the mindset of the people who are really good at this game can help us navigate this new reality with a little more awareness and skill.
I think you've hit on something really important. By understanding these patterns of behavior, by recognizing these GTA-like tactics when we see them happening, we can become smarter about the information we consume, we can think more critically, and we can be more conscious participants in the game of life, so to speak.
Yeah, this is getting pretty deep, but I'm loving it. We're talking about using a video game analogy to understand not just one powerful person, but the whole way our modern world works. This deep dive is taking us to some really interesting places. But before we get too lost in these big ideas, I want to bring it back to the paper itself.
You're right. There's still a lot more to uncover in this paper, and I think you'll find the next part especially interesting.
Oh, you've definitely got me hooked now. Let's keep going.
You know, one of the most fascinating things this paper brings up is how both Trump and GTA tap into something much deeper, something that really resonates with a lot of people, especially in America. It's this idea of the American dream, but also how that dream can get twisted, even corrupted.
Okay, so we're going from video games to politics to the American dream.
Yeah.
I'm following. But how does it all connect?
Well, let's start with what the American dream represents. It's about chasing success, freedom, opportunity, the idea that anyone, no matter where they come from, can achieve prosperity if they work hard and never give up.
Yeah, that whole pull yourself up by your bootstraps idea.
Exactly. And both Trump and GTA in their own way present a version of that dream. Trump, the self-made billionaire, the outsider who defied all the odds to become president. And GTA, this game where you can go from nothing to being incredibly rich and powerful through hustle and, well, let's just say some questionable activities.
There's got to be a catch, right? It can't be that straightforward.
You're right on the money. The paper argues that both Trump and GTA offer a very specific vision of the American dream, and it might be a little distorted. It's a version that puts individual ambition and achievement above everything else, even if it means sacrificing things like community, ethics, maybe even breaking the law.
So they're both kind of glorifying this win-at-all-costs attitude.
Yeah.
Even if it means cheating or stepping on other people to get there.
You nailed it. In GTA, you succeed through violence, crime, and exploitation. It's a satire, of course. But it reflects this cynicism about the American dream, this idea that to get truly rich and powerful, you often have to compromise your morals.
And Trump, with his history of shady business deals and his often ruthless style in politics, he kind of embodies that same kind of moral flexibility.
Exactly. And the paper suggests that this really speaks to a certain group of people who feel disillusioned with the traditional ways of achieving success, people who feel like the system is rigged against them.
So they see in Trump, and maybe even in GTA, a kind of rebellion against the establishment, a validation of their own frustrations and dreams.
That's one way to look at it. And the paper argues that this is what makes both Trump and GTA so captivating and potentially so dangerous. They tap into this very real anger and disillusionment, but they offer a solution that's ultimately selfish and often destructive.
It's like they're saying, yeah, the system is messed up, but you can still win if you're willing to play dirty, to break the rules, to become the ultimate boss.
And that message, it can be both empowering and incredibly problematic.
Wow, this is some heavy stuff. It's making me think about how entertainment shapes our view of the world. I mean, we're talking about a video game here. But the connections to real-life politics are pretty mind-blowing.
You've got a point. And the paper actually addresses that towards the end. It argues that in today's world, where we're bombarded with media constantly, the line between reality and entertainment is getting blurrier and blurrier.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
think about it. We have reality TV stars becoming presidents, video games influencing political conversations, and social media turning everyone into a performer. It's hard to tell what's real anymore.
Exactly. And the paper says that both Trump and GTA are experts at exploiting this blurred reality. They understand how to use spectacle to create a narrative that grabs people's attention, even if it's not totally based in truth.
It's like they're playing by a whole different set of rules, a set of rules where it doesn't really matter if something's true or not, as long as it's entertaining.
And that's why it's crucial to be critical of the information we consume, to question the stories we're being told, and to be aware of how entertainment, whether it's a video game or a political campaign, can be used to manipulate our feelings and shape how we see the world.
So basically, we all need to level up our critical thinking skills if we want to navigate this crazy world where reality and entertainment are becoming harder and harder to tell apart.
Absolutely. And maybe this whole exploration of Trump through the lens of GTA, as unconventional as it is, can serve as a wake-up call. That even in the most unexpected places, we can find insights that help us understand the world around us a little better.
I've got to say, this deep dive has been quite the journey. I came in expecting a fun little comparison, but we ended up talking about some really deep ideas about power, ambition, and the American dream.
And that's the beauty of these deep dives. You never know where they'll lead you. It's all about being open to new perspectives, challenging your assumptions, and embracing the unexpected.
Well said. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder all this. Remember, the next time you fire up GTA, or watch a political debate, or even just scroll through your social media feed, pay attention to the game that's being played, the stories that are being told, and how entertainment and reality are constantly shaping each other. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring. All right, so where do we go from here? How does this GTA mentality play out in a bigger sense?
Well, this is where the paper gets really interesting. It starts to look at how both Trump and the GTA series, they kind of tap into something deeper, something that a lot of people, especially here in America, really connect with. It's about that whole allure of the American dream. But it's also about how that dream can get kind of warped, even messed up along the way.
Okay, so we're connecting video games to politics, to the American dream. I'm with you so far. But how exactly do all these pieces fit together?
Let's break it down. Think about what the American dream really means. It's about chasing success, freedom, opportunity. That idea that anyone, no matter where they started in life, can make a good life for themselves if they're willing to put in the work and never give up.
Yeah, that classic pull yourself up by your bootstraps story.
Exactly. And both Trump and GTA, they each present their own version of that dream. You've got Trump, the self-made billionaire, the outsider who beat the odds and became president, and then you've got GTA, this game where you can go from nothing to being super rich and powerful through hustling and, well, maybe a little bit of crime along the way.
I have a feeling there's more to it than that. It can't be that simple, can it?
You're right. It's not that simple. The paper argues that both Trump and GTA, they offer a very specific vision of the American dream, and it might be a little bit twisted. It's a version that puts individual ambition and achievement above everything else, even if it means sacrificing community, ethics, or even breaking the law.
So it's like they're both saying it's okay to have this win-at-all-costs mentality.
Yeah.
Even if it means cutting corners or stepping on other people to get ahead.
Exactly. In GTA, you achieve success through violence, crime, and taking advantage of others. It's meant to be satire, of course, but it reflects a certain cynicism about the American dream, the idea that to really make it big, you might have to compromise your morals.
And Trump, with his history of controversial business deals and his often ruthless approach to politics, he seems to embody that same kind of moral flexibility.
Right, and the paper suggests that this really resonates with a certain segment of the population, people who are disillusioned with the traditional paths to success, people who feel like the system is stacked against them.
So they see in Trump, and maybe even in GTA, a kind of rebellion against the establishment, a validation of their own frustrations and ambitions.
That's a really interesting way to put it. And the paper argues that this is what makes both Trump and GTA so fascinating and potentially dangerous. They tap into this very real sense of anger and disillusionment, but they also offer a solution that's ultimately very individualistic and often destructive.
It's like they're saying, yeah, the system is broken, but you can still win if you're willing to play dirty.
If they break
the
them.
rules
Cool.
to become the ultimate boss.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that message, it can be both empowering and incredibly problematic.
This has given me a lot to think about. It's making me consider the role of entertainment and how it shapes our understanding of the world. I mean, we're talking about a video game here, But the parallels to real-world politics are pretty striking.
You've hit on a really important point, and it's something the paper addresses in the conclusion. It argues that in today's world where we're constantly surrounded by media, the lines between reality and entertainment are becoming increasingly blurred.
Yeah, think about it. Reality TV stars are becoming presidents. Video games are influencing political conversations. And social media has turned everyone into a performer. It's hard to know what's real anymore.
You're absolutely right. And the paper argues that both Trump and GTA, they're masters at exploiting this blurred reality. They understand how powerful spectacle can be, how to create a narrative that captures people's attention, even if it's not entirely true or based in fact.
So they're both playing by the rules of a different game. One where truth and fiction don't really matter, as long as you're keeping the audience entertained.
And that's why it's so important for us to be critical thinkers, to question the stories we're being told, and to recognize how entertainment, whether it's a video game or a political campaign, can be used to manipulate our emotions and shape our worldview.
It sounds like we all need to level up our critical thinking skills if we want to navigate this complex world, where reality and entertainment are becoming more and more intertwined.
I couldn't agree more. And maybe this exploration of Trump through the lens of GTA, as unusual as it might seem, can remind us that even in the most unexpected places, we can find insights that help us understand the world around us just a little bit better.
Well, this deep dive has been quite a journey. I came in expecting a fun comparison, but we ended up discussing some really deep ideas about power, ambition, and the American dream.
That's the beauty of these deep dives. You never know where they'll take you. It's all about being open to new perspectives, challenging what you think you know, and embracing the unexpected.
Well said. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder all of this the next time you play GTA, or watch a political debate, or even just scroll through your social media. Think about the games that are being played, the stories that are being told, and how entertainment and reality are constantly shaping each other. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.